you're gonna see something that's just out there. Coming to the stage, San Diego legend, Jerry Evans.
Good evening. You guys having fun? That's good. There's a scam out against the elderly. It has to do with Medicare. They call you up and say, "Did you get your new card in the mail?" I said, "No," because there isn't one. "Well, I got one of those calls and they want your information." I got one of those calls. "Hi, this is Joe from Medicare. Did you get your new card in the mail?" And I said, "Yeah, I did get a card in the mail. And it had your name and a picture of an asshole on it." I don't think he's gonna call back. I can say and do whatever the hell I want now because I just went through a divorce. After 41 years of marriage. What the hell was I thinking? I don't know. And my friend said, "God, that must have been a surprise. A divorce after 41 years. I said, "No, wasn't a surprise at all." I knew he was involved with another woman because he'd started brushing his teeth. I came home from work early one day and he was wearing my lingerie and he was a big heavy guy. I said, "What are you doing? You're ruining that. You're going to stretch it all out of shape." And he did, and it was from the Caitlyn Jenner collection. It was expensive shit. I said, "Why are you wearing my lingerie?" He said, "I have everything a woman desires." I said, "Yeah, curly hair and big tits." Take that off. What the hell's the matter with you? Well, we got the divorce, and I figured out that I love my cat more than I love that man. I love that cat more than I love that man that I was married to for 41 years, because that cat will bury shit and never bring it up again. He just sent me flowers for my birthday and then had the guts to call and see if I got them. And I said, "Yeah, I got them," but I said, "These are oleanders, they're deadly poisonous." He said, "Well, it is the thought that counts." So, divorced, and he said, "You know, Jared, we're always going to have to be associated with each other because we share kids and grandkids. We should do things together." And I said, "Okay, let's make a pact. Let's kill ourselves." And you go first. So I am dating now, and oh God, I'm not doing well at all. I'm doing terrible with it. And I have two older sisters, and all they do is tease me about it. My sister calls up and says, "How was your date the other night?" And I said, "Oh, it was fine." And she says, "Well, and?" I said, "What do you mean, and?" "Well, what did you do?" I said, "We went out to lunch, we talked, we walked on the beach, went and had coffee." And she says, "And?" And I said, "There is no and." "Do you know what atrophy is?" And I said, "Yeah." "You've heard the term use it or lose it?" "Yeah." "Well, in severe cases, a woman has gotten so tight that a man can't get in. So you better get busy." And my other sister's sitting there and she says, "So tight that a man can't get in? Oh, I can't think of anything worse." And I said, "Well, I can. What if you can't get out?" What are you supposed to do, walk around like this the rest of your life? You can't do that. And who could you call for help? The fire department? Hello? Yes? Could you send a crew over here with the jaws of life to get this dick out? Yes, a dick. What do you mean, where is it? It's a dick. Where else would it be? What? Hey, what you do in your personal life is your business, okay? You know, no, I'm not joking. I need help. I need to get rid of this dick. No, I am not Melania Trump. But other guys that I dated, I finally got a date with this guy that I really wanted to go out with, and I was so happy about it. I got a new outfit, I had my hair done, I did my makeup, and right before he gets there, I get the perfume out. Well, you don't know what's going to happen. You've got to cover all the bases. Cover all the bases. First, second, third, and home. And this is baseball season. He could try and slide into home. I don't know. You know, and I dated this other guy who had a twin fetish. And I thought, well, that's terrible. I found out he only went out with me because of the twin fetish. He wanted to sleep with both me and my twin brother. So no, I don't play that game. Then I went out with this guy and he was so arrogant. My name is Stephen Thomas Davis. And I got money and I can do whatever I want. I said, okay. Because I'm Stephen Thomas Davis, I don't have to pay attention to anything or anybody. I can do what I want. Because I'm Stephen Thomas Davis. I thought, what the hell does he keep telling me his name for? And I thought, what? Is he giving me a warning? And I thought, his very initials are STD. Goodbye, Stephen Thomas Davis. And I went out with this other guy, and my sister says, how'd your date go? And I said, I didn't like him. She said, well, what was wrong with this one? I said, I didn't like his hair. She said, what's wrong with his hair? And I said, he doesn't have any. She said, so what? I said, well, what am I supposed to do? Run my hand over the top of his head and keep stroking it? And she says, well, you do know he's got more than one head. And I said, my older sister just will not leave me alone. Then I dated a used car salesman. Not the most honest person in the world, but I felt comfortable with him. And after 3 or 4 days, I said, you know, Rick, I'm really thinking about getting a boob job. He said, a boob job? On a woman your age? That would be like fixing the headlights on a car that's been totaled. They will never find his body. And my sister said, you know, you should have just married that high school sweetheart of yours, and you didn't do it. And I said, I couldn't marry him. She said, why not? And I said, his name was Dick. She said, so what? Well, I can't drive around the rest of my life with a bumper sticker that says, I love Dick. I could get arrested for something like that. That's solicitation. But as time moves on, I thought, I've got a bucket list I need to start taking care of. And there's one thing that's been on my bucket list for years. I have always wanted to have sex with someone in a closet at a crowded event. Does that make me a pervert? Don't know, don't care. I don't give a damn what you think. But as a middle-aged woman, not old, middle-aged, I'm happy to report that that item has been removed from my bucket list. He was great. He was wonderful. If I ever see him again, I'm going to find out what his name is. There's just one problem in that whole thing, though. I'm not welcome at the PTA meeting anymore. And there's another thing I want to do. I keep waiting for them to remake The Wizard of Oz. Because I want to be in it. I think that would be so much fun. I could be a munchkin, I'm small. And when munchkins sing, their voice shakes. Said that payback is a bitch, and my daughters are finding that out for sure. Those two spoiled shits are 40 years old now, and I embarrass them every chance I get. When you get older, I found this out a long time ago. When you get older, you can pretend you're senile, and no one can prove that you're not. Not even a doctor. We were in the store the other day, and they were with me. And I thought, okay, I'm gonna get your asses. I walked up to one of the mail clerks and I said, I've never been in your store before. Where are your nuts? And one was going, so I went back to the meat counter and there's another clerk back there and I said, oh, this counter is such a mess, I can't find anything. Could you show me your bologna? Well, we weren't in that store too long. Also, they made fun of me. Everybody makes fun of their parents. But I thought they would quit by now, but they don't. They still have the damn People magazine when Jeffrey Dahmer got busted. What was that, 35 years ago? And he was on the cover and it said, he was a quiet man who worked in a chocolate factory. Well, when they come over, if they think I'm being really weird, one of them picks up the damn magazine and holds it up. And the other one acts like she's a news reporter. She was a quiet woman who did stand-up comedy. The family always goes on a cruise every year. The whole family, the daughters, the son-in-laws, the grandkids. And I embarrass them every chance I get. So before the ship sets sail, and this is on a Disney cruise, before the ship sets sail, they have everybody up on the top deck for the emergency procedure. And they pass out the paper to everybody to read, and then they pick different people to read a different thing. So they get to number 4, and the man points to me. He says, ma'am, will you read number 4? And I said, well, I'll try to, but I need new glasses and I don't see too well, but here we go. If the captain sounds the distress alarm, we should immediately hit the deck. Hit the deck. And my daughters would say, oh my God, what are you doing? I do work at the fairgrounds and racetrack. And we used to have the gay rodeo. Seriously. It was a very unique rodeo. It's the only one in the world where they want to be gored in the ass. Coming out of shoe 5, we have Bill riding Bob. Whatever makes you happy. I'm not here to judge, you know, but we are told at the fairgrounds, if you see something, say something. If you see something strange, say something. Well, this woman came up, I'm working a concert, and she comes up, she's wearing a bra and a pair of men's underwear, and that's all. So I'm looking at her, and I said, well, I just have one question for you. Where's the guy whose underwear you stole? She said, I don't know. And I said, well, personally, I would never wear men's underwear unless he was in there with me. But I've got a big ass, so it'd be a tight squeeze, but he'd have plenty to hang on to. And if I I really liked him, I'd tell him, hang on, honey, because we're going over. Oh, yeah. We had a car show, very expensive foreign cars, and I couldn't believe how many hookers were in there walking around. And this one, I swear to you, she had a skirt that came up to here and no underwear. No underwear. Things were hanging out. She comes up to me and she said, I have a question for you. I said, well, I've got one for you too. Weren't you in the movie Harry Twatter? I don't know. Then I worked a concert that was a Christian concert. And I thought, why do they have all of us bartenders here? These people aren't going to drink. Boy, was I wrong. They drank so much. And I had this woman come up and she orders a drink for me and I give it to her and she looks into my tip jar and makes a face like she smells shit. We don't tip. I said, that's fine. We don't tip because we don't know what you're going to do with the money. You might do something sinful. And I saw her drop something in my tip jar and I knew it wasn't money. So she turns and she walks away about 5 steps and turns around and goes, and I looked in my tip jar, she had put a 2-inch statue of Jesus. So I bit its head off. Now, am I going to go to hell for that? No, because God has a sense of humor. Why else would he have put nerves in our teeth? Why would he have given my mother 11 children? Ah, that's funny. I asked her when I got older, do you drink because you have 11 kids, or do you have 11 kids because you drink? She says, you shut the hell up. Now, one of the most important days of our lives is when we get our sex education. I had to give my daughters theirs at 11 years old. I wasn't prepared for it, but they'd gone into my room and they found an adult book. And they bring it out to me, and it's open to a picture of a guy getting a BJ. And I thought, oh no. Oh no. Mom, what is she doing? And I said, oh, I don't know. Is she going to get a baby from doing that? I said, no, she's not going to get no baby. She's going to get jewelry. Well, I'd never lied to him, and I wasn't going to lie to him now. Now, some of you might wonder how I know that. When my mom was, and I told my daughters, I said, you know, it is what it is. And they said, well, is it fun? And I said, well, yeah, but it's got to be with the right person. You can't just go and pick someone off the street like your Aunt Vicki Diane does. Vicki Diane is my youngest sister, who is known to the family as VD. For obvious reasons. Vicki Diane doesn't have a damn brain in her head. She wanted to get a tattoo, a cluster of cherries right up on her boob, but she was too cheap to go to a pro. She had a friend do it. Well, 20 kids and 5 years later, now it looks like a bunch of bananas. You know, what are you going to do? But when Mom was giving Vicki Diane her sex education, she was 10 years old. So I'm 20, my sister Teresa's 18, and we're standing there listening to Mom. And she starts out, when two people love each other very much. And Teresa said, oh, that's a bunch of crap. Why don't you tell her the truth? She says, you shut up, I am telling her the truth. And she starts up again. When two people love each other very much. Teresa said they screw each other's brains out. And that's how Teresa got her first concussion. So when Mom is finishing up with Vicki, she's telling her, always remember, if you keep your underwear on, you'll never be in trouble. Keep that underwear on and you will never get in trouble. And I said, well, you can always pull them to the side. And that's how I got my first concussion. Now, I was 5 years old when I got my sex education. We had a new baby in the family, which we always did with 11 kids, and it was a boy. And so I'm looking at my mom and I said, how do you know if the baby's a boy or a girl? I'm 5 years old. She said, oh, what the hell's the matter with you? Are you that stupid? And I said, well, I want to know. And she said, all right, you know what you look like down there? And I said, yeah. She grabs my 3-year-old brother, pulls his pants down, and said, that's what a boy looks like. Now go outside and play. So I'm standing there thinking, what's the matter with you? Why are you crying? I said, because I want one of those. Don't worry about it. When you get older, you're going to get plenty of those. She should know. She had 11 kids. Let's see here. What else do I have for you here? I'm going to start doing a line of greeting cards. A lot of celebrities come out with their own perfume. Cher had Uninhibited. Liz Taylor had Passion. Then Barbara Bush came out with one called Essence of Bush. It was sold only in adult stores. Let's hear it for Barbara. I mean, the men loved it. Even Pee Wee Herman came out with his of men's cologne. A little squirt'll do you. I thought, no, I don't want to come out with a perfume, and I'm not a celebrity anyway. But I want to start a line of greeting cards called Totally Inappropriate. Like if there's someone you really hate, and they're paranoid. Hide in the closet, hide under the bed, because when they find you, you're going to be dead. Or if Grandma's dying. Grandma, Grandma, how I'll miss you. And your toothless mouth when they made us kiss you. If someone loses a pet. Your dog is dead, so is your bird. You ate them both, you fat old turd. That's just something I'm working on, the greeting cards. All of the Evans family have big heads. I have a big head, we all have big heads. And my youngest brother, Roddy, had an enormous head. And he was blonde-headed. So we called him Tweety. Him and my 2 other brothers told me, there's a boy down the street, his name's the Whom-No-Huh boy. I said, what? I never knew the kid's real name. He said, no matter what question you ask him, the answer's the same. Like, do you want to go to the store and get some candy? No. Well, the Whom-No-Huh boy had a dog, and my brother said, we named the dog Buffnarl. He said, that's a weird name. They said, come with us down there and we'll show you why. So we go down to the house, and he said, Buffnarl doesn't like it when someone rattles the gate. Rattle the gate and you'll see why we named him Buffnarl. So I grab the gate and I shake it, and the dog runs up and starts barking, Buffnarl, Buffnarl, Buffnarl. I thought, okay, well, that one was a dead one, wasn't it? Religion was something that I always had a problem with. My husband was a devoted, very strict Catholic. Now, how he ended up with me, I don't know. But in the Catholic religion, if you even think of something bad, it's a sin, so you're already in trouble. But to my way of thinking, if I'm already in trouble, why not do it? And the Mormon men can have as many wives as they want. But can the Mormon women have as many husbands as they want? No, no, no. And if they had more than one husband, then they wouldn't be a Mormon, they'd be a moron. So I was looking around, at different religions. And I settled on the Baptist, because you can get away with anything with them. I was in church, and the preacher gets up and he said, we're going to clean this town up. We're going to take all the alcohol and we're going to throw it in the river. And we'll take all of the smut and we'll throw that in the river. And then we'll take all of the dope, the drugs, and we'll throw that into the river. And then the choir got up and sang, Shall We Gather by the River? That's the church for me. But growing up, my family used the word Jesus all the time. My mother would say, I'll beat the bejesus out of you. Now, we all know who Jesus is, but who is Jesus? Is that what the Southerners say? Oh, he be Jesus. And if my dad got mad at us, he'd say, Jesus H. Christ. And he'd say that so that you knew exactly which Jesus Christ he was talking about. He didn't want him to be confused with Jesus R or Jesus W. And Dad's idea of saying grace was, Jesus Christ, let's eat. Strange world. Since my divorce, I have reverted back to one of my old tactics, one of my favorite things, and that's sex on the beach. At 77 years old, that's right, I'm 77 damn years old. I think that your age should not be judged by what you are on paper, but the way that you think and act. I know people in their 40s who are older than I am. Yeah. So I called my daughters up and I told them, guess what? They said, what? And I said, I reverted back to my old tactics of sex on the beach. And they said, oh, that is disgusting. A woman of your age doing something like that. What the hell's wrong with you? I said, there ain't nothing wrong with me. We would never do anything like that. And I thought, oh, dear God, the hospital gave me the wrong babies. They can't be mine. And I said, well, let me give you a few pointers anyway, just in case you change your mind. Number one, wait until dark. Number two, never, ever, ever use a jellyfish as a lubricant. And number three, make sure you're wearing your own underwear before you go home. They said, we would still never do that. That is disgusting. We don't want to hear anymore. I said, oh, was that right? Well, let me tell you something, girls. If I hadn't had sex on the beach, your asses wouldn't be here. And where do you think your names came from? Sandy and Shelley? If you'd been born boys, I'd have named you Rough and Rocky. So, they shut up about that. I have a very wild family. I mean, my grandparents, my parents, their siblings, my aunts and uncles, they were all wild, mean, nasty drunks. And we hold the family reunion at Alcatraz. The family's old alma mater. And they always call the National Guard and have them on standby in case they riot. Because they usually do. But coming from a family like that, I felt out of place because I am the only non-drinker. Now, the next generation, my daughters and nieces and nephews, they're not drunks, but everybody before them was, all except me. And one day, we were all eating dinner, and a neighbor came over, and they said, hey, Joe, come on, sit down and have something to eat. So they're all drinking, and he says, do you have anything non-alcoholic? And they said, yeah, her. And I said, well, you know, I met a new boy in school, and I think he really likes me. And he doesn't smoke, drink, or do drugs. And they all looked around and said, well, we could put him in training. It is not a complete loss. Now, as I close, I'm going to tell you a secret about myself. When I do comedy and the set goes well, as it has tonight, and I thank you from the bottom of my heart. But then I go home alone and I feel like Cinderella. And I think, did that really happen? Was that real? Did that really happen? Well, Cinderella had a glass slipper. And that was her proof. Yes, it was real. Yes, it did happen. So, to help myself along. Yes, it was real. Yes, it really happened. And this is who I'll be sleeping with tonight. Thank you.
Once again for Jerry Evans, everybody. Did you guys have a great time? We had a great time entertaining you. Our next show is going to be on August 29th on a Saturday. Hope to see you all again. Again, there's some Venmo things at your table.